Great Plains is one of the most uniquely interesting regions in the US. I know what you might think, that makes no sense, but I promise it's at least kinda cool and has a lot of stuff to talk about. Like, let's look at a map. There aren't many other places in the US that you really just have no large cities. Sure, you can check out the desert in the southwest, but even there they tried to build Phoenix, one of the largest cities in the country. It's like 110 degrees there, and people would still prefer it over Grand Island, Nebraska. So why is this? Well, let's talk about how the geography of this region and the very obvious line that can be drawn on the borders, which is a real geographic line that resulted in so many of its features. Have you ever wondered why the Badlands exist? Or why the geology suddenly changes from a diverse group of soils over to Cenozoic era sandy soil? Well, it's because the Great Plains' #1 cool geography thing, the Western Interior Seaway. Around 100 million years ago, the country was split by a bunch of water, up to 600 miles long. This eventually dried up and went away, as we know, since Hays, Kansas isn't the lost city of Atlantis. But it left behind pretty much everything about the Great Plains geography. Let's stay in Kansas and use that as an example. Look at the east end of the state. They grow corn here, and it's much greener, being comparable to somewhere in the Midwest, like even Ohio. But as you move west through the state, the geography shifts significantly. The color on the map goes from green to tan. And suddenly you're looking around and it's like this. This is pristine Great Plains land. You have the very different looking rolling grassland, very few trees, and a totally different wildlife makeup. There's prairie dogs and antelope.
And when you're out in the Great Plains, it kind of feels like the landscape has just always existed like this. But actually, over 70% of America's original prairie has been destroyed, which is a lot. That's why I joined and wanted to partner with Planet Wild for this video, because they actually did a project restoring part of America's Great Plains. They're a community of more than 20,000 members that fund a rewilding mission every month. It's basically crowdfunding for nature. They document all their missions here on YouTube, so we can actually see what happens with our money, which I really appreciate. As you might have guessed, my favorite mission is their project right here in the US, restoring the American prairie. They're buying old cattle farms and restoring them to that extremely important, uninterrupted grassland, which is home to wildlife from pronghorn to bison. I'm a member because, as someone who lives in the Midwest and has traveled the country my entire life, this is a personal issue to me. And I find that protecting and restoring our natural lands is such an amazing cause. So if you want to join the growing community and help our earth, consider joining Planet Wild. You can give whatever amount feels right to you, as every dollar helps to protect nature. And just for my viewers, the first 100 people who sign up using my code Beaver2 will get their first month paid for. Just scan the QR code or click the link in the description. It will make an immediate impact on nature, so you can see the results in less than 30 days over on their YouTube. There's no catch and you can cancel at any time. If you want to see them in action, check out the American Prairie Mission with the link in the description. I absolutely love Planet Wild. Let's get back to the video.
Anyway, getting back to it, the changes once you cross this blurry line into the formerly ocean Great Plains are stark, with the main economy shifting from farming corn and some wheat into pretty much purely ranching in the far west, where animals just graze on the grassland. This comes from the geology, as the interior seaway left behind limestone, chalk, shale, and even sandstone. All of these were sedimentary rocks formed by seafloors, less friendly to farming, but way more friendly to a bunch of other interesting things. Firstly, there's the Badlands and Sandhills. Left behind by the interior seaway was a massive group of sandy badlands in South Dakota, for example, which is now a national park. It's characterized and known for your ability to stray off the trail basically anywhere and just explore this insanely interesting geological formation. You gotta believe that this was just an absurd thing for early explorers to see while traveling through the middle of nowhere, South Dakota. It may not hold much of a comparison to a massive mountainous national park somewhere else in the West, but seeing a view like this is such a random location definitely makes it deserve to be a national park. Moving a bit farther down, western Nebraska is covered by sandhills that people don't appreciate enough. You basically can't farm on them at all, so it's mostly just a vast, empty region of rolling hills. I do find it very cool though that these sandhills resulted in little water pockets forming, so there's a ton of small green lakes and ponds. If this isn't the formation of a former sea, I don't know what in the world is. In the northwest corner of the state then, there's more badlands, but this time with even more interesting formations called toadstools. Then down in the western part of Kansas, there's several chalk formations forming their own badlands. A specific one is Little Jerusalem Badlands State Park, where there's fascinating formations in what feels like the absolute middle of nowhere. These can be found all along the Smoky Hill River. See guys, Kansas isn't boring after all. Now, another thing we can't forget is what's going on underground. Take your pick at what's more interesting. Let's do water first. The Great Plains is home to the Ogallala aquifer, the largest aquifer in the US, spanning 174,000 square miles and supporting 30% of America's irrigation. If you know anything about the Ogallala aquifer, you know it is very, very quickly depleting, as farmers use a ton of water and it just isn't replenishing fast enough. It's a pretty simple math equation. This puts several communities at risk of losing water resources, specifically somewhere like Lubbock, Amarillo, or Midland, Odessa in Texas. This is the area where depletion is quickest, and you can see this in the countryside, where all of these circles on the satellite view are irrigated areas. They're taking their water hoses and making them go in circles when they just don't have enough water to be doing this. But it's not like any one farmer is being so terrible. It's just the simple tragedy of the commons, where everyone takes a little bit and suddenly there's nothing left. Now, the aquifer formed because it used to be an ocean and the water accumulated underground due to the sandy soil, which had much higher permeability than your average soil. And then the other underground thing to talk about here is oil. Have you ever wondered why the best oil reserves in the US are in the Permian Basin in Texas and New Mexico, and then the Williston Basin of North Dakota? These areas have been booming with oil for decades, and all have cities way larger than you might think. Well, the oil exists because of the geology of the interior seaway. The oil came from when marine life died and accumulated at the bottom of the ocean, and then got covered by sand and other soil. It's basically then getting crushed until it turns into goop, which we now call fossil fuel. And then a form of fossil fuel is oil. So then there you go. It becomes one of the richest and most important regions purely because it used to be an ocean. In fact, the basin in the south is called the Permian Basin purely because it came from the Permian period. What did this area look like in the Permian period? Well, just like this. Bang, bang, bang. Along with those fossil fuels, there's normal fossils too. This is why you find a ton of marine fossils in these areas in the interior west. It comes from that big former water that used to be here. Then finally, I just want to visualize our invisible line that I promised to you all in the title. It's very blurry in the west, and actually a lot of Colorado was found to be underwater in this period, but it looks like it's around here that it might have stretched until, meaning the Front Range would be a newer group of mountains. Importantly though, the plains part of Wyoming and Montana were certainly in this region. The other side is more straightforward though, and this can especially be seen in the population. If you look at Kansas's population statistics, you have a line right here. You drew it up the state, and this can sort of continue all the way up into Canada, where we suddenly don't care anymore. This means all of this land is included within the borders, and our lines have been drawn, and our question has been answered. All in all, the Great Plains involves so much uncertainty, and you really need to look under the surface to find the interesting parts of this region, since on the surface, it doesn't really seem like much is going on. Learning about this all has really helped me find appreciation in cities like Omaha, Sioux Falls, or Lubbock, since there's so much more to it than meets the eye. Thanks for watching.
And also just a quick reminder that this video is sponsored by Planet Wild. Check them out with the QR code and sign up using my code. It helps me out and it helps them out with their great cause. I have some of the videos on the end screen here so you can check them out. Thank you so much.